cloning disaster, cloning disaster, cloning disaster. Don't wanna be killed by my clone. Cloning disaster, cloning disaster. Don't wanna be killed by my clone. No.
Hello there guys! In this video, we'll be talking about Spinosaurus. We will explore questions like, who would win in a fight, T-Rex or Spino? And what did the real Spinosaurus look like? Now today, I'm focusing less about Jurassic Park Spinosaurus and more on Spinosaurus as a whole. A lot of information has been recently discovered about Spinosaurus, and a lot of people have become confused by all of the evidence. And once again, I know most of this information came out after Spinosaurus was featured in Jurassic Park 3, so there was no possible way they could have featured an accurate Spino. That's why this is less of a correction video and more of an informer video. This will most likely be the format for all Scientific Sins videos in the future, where I will be focusing less on being nitpicky and more focused on simply showing what really happened and comparing the two, making the series less negative. Spinosaurus has gone through countless changes over the years, and it is literally impossible to make any movie to feature him correctly. What I'm trying to say, it's not the movie's fault to feature an inaccurate Spinosaurus. But, nevertheless, I will compare the old Spino to the new one. But first, let me give a history on this very strange dinosaur. Spinosaurus was discovered in 1912, the same year the Titanic was destroyed and Bioshock Infinite takes place. Busy year. Anyways, Spinosaurus was discovered by the very famous German paleontologist Ernest Stromer. Stromer found Spino in Egypt along with many other dinosaur species, discovering only a small fossil of the lower jaw and some vertebrae. He noticed the vertebrae of Spinosaurus was very large, and thus called the creature Spinosaurus, or spine lizard. Spinosaurus was much larger than any other dinosaur seen at the time, and instantly intrigued Stromer. After discovering the fossil, Stromer found Spinosaurus a very strange creature, and like most paleontologists at the time, speculated it incorrectly as more lizard-like than bird-like or crocodile-like. Drawing a lot of inspiration from the more famous at the time American T-Rex, which had been discovered a few years earlier. Spinosaurus was a theropod dinosaur, a clade of dinosaurs that included T-Rex, Velociraptor, and Allosaurus. Stromer's speculation appeared more like a T-Rex with a sail on it, dragging its tail like a lizard. His fossil specimen was taken to his home country, Germany, and was featured in a museum in Munich, with other findings of his for all to see. That was until World War II erupted. And for all those that saw The Book Thief, we know Munich did not do well during World War II. In 1944, towards the end of World War II, Stromer's entire fossil collection, including the only known skeletons of Spinosaurus and Egyptosaurus, was destroyed when the museum in which it was held in Munich was bombed by the Royal Air Force during a raid. Stromer survived the war but had a large part of him taken away from his life forever, along with all of Spinosaurus's secrets. Spinosaurus became a forgotten memory without its fossils, and would result in T-Rex and other American dinosaurs to become more popular. If World War II never happened, and Spinosaurus' original fossil wouldn't have been destroyed, we would have an entirely different world, where Spinosaurus was more popular than T-Rex. But that didn't happen, and Spinosaurus was almost completely forgotten by paleontologists, that is, until the 1990s, when Spinosaurus was updated in its posture, as all dinosaurs were. No longer did he drag his tail on the ground like a lizard, but was a more horizontal posture like a bird or a crocodile. The more complete skull of Spinosaur was eventually discovered, revealing it had a more crocodile-like snout. The snout also contained strange holes near the front of it, which appeared a lot like the holes, called pressure sensors, in the snout of a crocodile, used to sense prey underwater. Scientists were starting to uncover that Spinosaurus was more aquatic and crocodile-like than most dinosaurs. In 2005, Spino got a makeover again with the help of a beautiful head crest discovered above the nose. In 2013, the sail of Spino was transformed from the weak fin speculated before to an actually thick-skinned back with more support. And finally, in 2014, we discovered another breakthrough regarding Spinosaurus, with new information and a completely different body. And that's where the sort of confusing history of Spinosaurus ends. To now. He has gone through many changes as a creature, and no changes are more confusing and just downright weird as the most recent. Now, this new information regarding Spinosaurus' changes discovered in 2014, most people really don't care for and don't like. But we must accept change. Science does not care what you think about it, so just admire the beauty. I know you guys might not like new Spino, and it's kind of weird looking, but I gotta show you the truth. So without further ado, here's what the real Spinosaurus looked like based on the 2014 findings. I know, not as intimidating as the two-legged Spino of past years, but when you get down to it, Spinosaurus is still a very interesting and beautiful creature. Now, let me explain what new Spinosaurus is. New Spinosaurus was based off of findings conducted last year, in 2014. These findings discovered that Spinosaurus was more aquatic than all other dinosaurs discovered so far. This idea is actually backed up by many things about Spinosaurus that was sort of known even before the 2014 studies were even conducted. Fossils of Spinosaurus have constantly been found with species of fish, as well as Spinosaurus teeth have been found inside fish, suggesting fish were Spinosaurus' prime food source. One of these fish including... however you pronounce that, whose sawfish-like barbs have been found inside Spinosaur mouths, as well as the vertebra of this creature has been found inside the mouth of another Spinosaurus. Spinosaurus definitely more fish than land-dwelling prey as once thought. It probably hunted a lot like a grizzly bear, wading in or on the edge of rivers, sticking its snout underwater waiting to catch passing fish. The nostrils of Spinosaurus are placed high on its head, meaning it could stick the majority of its snout in water and underwater, yet still breathe. Once again, Spinosaurus has strange holes in its snout, thought to be pressure sensors, organs used to sense prey underwater. The hook-like curve of Spinosaurus' top jaw was perfect for catching fish, similar to the jaw of Proterosuchus, a known fish eater. There are two speculations on the neck of Spino. One study of the neck of Spinosaurus has shown that a neck muscle might have existed right here. With this muscle, Spinosaurus would probably have a more pelican-like neck posture, suggesting it fed more like a duck in water. But once again, this is mere speculation. Majority of other scientists believe that it had a more crocodile horizontal posture. Nonetheless, both of these speculated neck postures would suggest Spinosaurus was very well adapted to life in the water. And also, by far the most interesting evidence, oxygen isotope chemical traces in Spinosaur bones and teeth are low, like that of a crocodile's, revealing it lived more like a crocodile or a hippo than most land dinosaurs. After seeing all this evidence, it is extremely safe to say Spinosaurus was an aquatic hunter and spent most of its life around or in water. Discovering the tiny legs simply cemented this idea further. The tiny back legs of Spinosaurus were discovered by a science team in 2014. As they looked at the structures of the leg of a Spinosaurus fossil given to them by a completely random Egyptian guy who had been keeping them for who knows how long, as well as comparing the structures to Spinosaur cousins. And yeah, the tiny back legs were the prime focus of criticism when the new information was disclosed. The tiny back legs of Spinosaurus would suggest Spino walked on its knuckles like a gorilla.
Mabel, no like.
Now before you say that, this actually makes sense. First, Spinosaurus is front-heavy, meaning if it walked only on its back legs, it would topple over. The forelegs distribute the weight evenly, as seen in this animation created by the science team. Now, Spinosaurus could walk only on its back legs, but they couldn't run or sprint or really do much on those back legs. They were simply way too stubby. They probably only reared up on their back legs to get a better vantage point, to look more threatening, to fish on the side of riverbanks, and may have walked, but only walked, on their back legs on land. Nonetheless, Spinosaurus would be at least somewhat quadrupedal, due to its weight and posture, but it probably was somewhat bipedal, and did walk on his back legs occasionally. The second evidence of Spinosaurus having tiny back legs is Spinosaurus was a lot more like a crocodile, a hippo, and even a whale than a dinosaur. It spent much of its life in the water. Spinosaurus is very streamlined in shape. In water, long back legs create drag and slow you down, preventing a more streamlined shape. Spinosaurus losing these back legs and reducing them to smaller back legs, such as a crocodile, hippo, or early whale, would cause Spino to be more streamlined and be much more adapted to being an underwater hunter. Their tiny legs were probably more like flippers than actual legs. Spinosaurus's legs were probably meant more for swimming and less for walking. The long legs kinda were a handicap for Spino, and it makes more sense for this proven to be aquatic hunter to be more streamlined, as it is without the long legs. Hippos and crocs, animals that live in similar environments to Spino, have stubby, tiny legs. It makes sense these similar species have similar adaptations for similar environments. For these reasons, the new smaller-legged Spinosaurus simply makes more sense. Spinosaurus was front-heavy, and eventually it would need to balance the weight. And Spinosaurus spent much of its life underwater, meaning it would have to sacrifice long legs to be better adapted to its proven environment underwater. Scientists even speculate the legs of Spinosaurus would eventually become non-existent, like a whale's, if Spinosaurus later evolved into a fully aquatic hunter. And maybe it did. Maybe Spinosaurus was the prehistoric equivalent to Ambulocetus, the ancestor of all whales. Maybe Spinosaurus was the transition species of dinosaurs from land to water. His tiny legs might have been the beginning of vestigial structures, body parts that eventually evolve into small pointless structures, as seen in whales. Maybe Spinosaurus evolved into the Cretaceous equivalent of whales, and we are simply seeing the beginnings of a new clade of dinosaurs that swim the open oceans. 94 million years ago, the area where Spinosaurus lived transformed from a swamp and river-like area to a flooded ocean, wiping out Spinosaurus as a species. But maybe not all died out. Maybe they adapted with the new environmental change, and became more adapted to living in the open ocean. Like some species of whales of modern day, Spinosaurus was the largest carnivore of its time. Maybe Spinosaurus shared a lot more with them than we think. Spinosaurus is by far the most strange and confusing dinosaur, from T-Rex with a sail on it to aquatic monster. I actually own a tooth of this very strangely awesome creature, as a token of honor towards it. The current speculation of Spinosaurus reveals a creature a mix between a crocodile, a stork, a hippo, and an otter. A creature feeding on fish and feeding in or by the edge of the water. So the next time you go hating on a new scientific theory and say it's ruining your childhood, just remember the confusing and twisted story of Spinosaurus. Nothing is for sure in this world of mysteries. For all we know, just like all prehistoric creatures, another revolutionary discovery could be found, and once again, transform how we look at this very strange dino. And what about the one featured in Jurassic Park? Well, all I can say is that the legs of our good old Spino were not that long, as featured in Jurassic Park 3. But again, there's no way they could have known that, or corrected that. Also, Spino was missing his very beautiful snout crest, which wasn't discovered until 2005, 4 years after Jurassic Park 3 was released. We do see a good amount of Spinosaurus underwater in the film. An accurate suggestion. A little ahead of its time though. So, overall, for the time period the movie was created, Jurassic Park Spino was indeed pretty accurate then, but not so much now. But I know what you guys really want to know. T-Rex versus Spinosaurus. Who would really win in a fight? Well, both animals living many million years apart, this would never occur naturally. Although there is some evidence that Spinosaurus did fight with other theropod dinosaurs, such as Carcharodontosaurus, suggested by a broken vertebra found in Morocco. But for the purpose of this video, let's just assume the impossible. Spino and T-Rex meet. What would happen? Well, considering Spinosaurus was most likely the largest carnivore to ever walk the earth, and was over 10 feet longer than T-Rex, but with the recent evidence remarkably shorter than T-Rex, we can assume the win really depends on the environment. If the fight were on land, Spino would be out of its element. Its short legs would cause it to be slow and cumbersome, an easy target for the giant bulldozer head of T-Rex. But if the fight were in water, T-Rex would be out of its element. With tiny arms not built for swimming, T-Rex would be an extremely easy target for Spino in the water. So all in all, a fight between Spino and T-Rex would go a little bit like this.
Oh, hey, Dave.
Hey. They lived in completely different environments, one on land and the other in the water. It's like challenging a shark to a fight with a lion. It's not really fair depending on the arena. So, all in all, let us all be welcoming of the new change of this spectacular creature, who went on a very strange journey over almost exactly 100 years ago. There is still much to learn about Spinosaurus, and it all is up to us to discover the future of this amazing animal. And as always, thanks for watching.
Mabel, no like.
My heart feels dead inside. It's cold and hard and petrified. Lock the doors and